Mike Garafolo is brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley. It's sunny, though, Mike, so he's playing golf, so you can't get him today at 253-565-8700. Zog's on Fox Island as well. Perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out, and watch the games. Follow their new fall hours on Facebook and Instagram for their new fall time hours. Where do we find you today? You look like you're at a dentist office.
It's along those lines. Can you hear me on these things, by the way?
It's okay. Yeah, not bad.
So you say that, and then I watch it back, and I'm like, it's great. Like, I don't know. You must have, like, incredibly high expectations for quality of sound.
I go back and clean it up later. So when you watch it, I've like cleaned it up. That's why. I probably swear to God.
How do you clean it up?
I mean, listen, I'm not only a star, Mike, I'm also a post-production expert. I clean it up. I edit.
I'm getting my car repaired. Not repaired. Regular maintenance, oil change.
Regular maintenance, oil change, yeah, okay.
Front brakes, and supposed to be done by now, but they're actually, I'm not going to knock them. They're usually pretty good here, but we're a little slow today.
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think we've ever talked about this before we get into football. I've got an old 1985 Volkswagen Westphalia. Do you know what that is? You know what a Westie is? Yeah, have you ever seen them? Yeah, have you ever seen the vans and the roof pops up? Old hippie vans. You've never seen those?
With the big tire on the back or front or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It pops up, you know. Guy, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The door opens up and they come out and there's weeds everywhere, right?
Sure,
you know?
Sure,
okay.
Sure.
So I got one of those. So we just got back a long road trip. We in the summer, and I took it in. I'm like, I just need it to be looked at, make sure everything's good. It's so old. Make sure it's not going to break down. And of course, they came back yesterday with everything that needs to be fixed. And they're like, and then I just look at the bill, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, it's just like, and these are like, there's three things, like brakes. My brakes are done. My gas tank is leaking. I mean, these are things that have to be fixed. They have to be fixed. And I'm just like, I just turned to my wife. I said, can we sell one of the kids?
Well, is it because the car is obsolete, basically, that this stuff costs so much, or is it just that's the price of fixing everything?
The brakes are, yes, because the car is so old, you have to like upgrade the entire brake system. That's part of it.
See? Okay.
Whatever.
No one wants it. It's like keeping a dog alive. Some people do that, and then some people go, "I'd rather collie there."
Hey, I'm gonna keep my dogs alive. I'll tell you that.
I'm not a dog person, so don't come at me, people. I just, you know, I've seen it happen before. My friends who have a dog, and they're like, how much I gotta pay to keep this thing alive, right? And it's gonna die. Like, we know it's gonna die.
I've spent a lot of money on my oldest dog. She's had 2 ACL replacements.
Wow. Like,
That's about $10,000. That's about $10,000.
How much is it for a human?
I don't know, but I mean, they get, and these vets, man. Hey, we're gonna get to football in a second. I don't want to hear you bitch and moan, people. These vets, they use it against you, Mike. Because they know you'll pay for it.
Is there are they bitching and moaning live? I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today.
No, it will be just later. I mean, it'll be like on the great segment. 10 minutes of talking about your dogs and car dealership. I want football. You know, fuck off. You know, we'll get to football. But these vets, they use it against you. They really do.
Yeah. Yeah, they lay it on thick from what I gather.
Yeah. Davante Adams, what happened here? How did this – it felt like maybe I don't follow it as close as you, but it went like 0 to 60 real fast.
No, it was a slow drip, which is it's part of the problem with our job is people will deny it until it's all the way there, right? So you can – we kind of sort of knew something was not right. Going back to him complaining last year about Jimmy Garafolo, and he was like it was isolated to Jimmy G last year on that receiver show, and you replace Jimmy G with Gardner Minshew. I mean, it's like you got to replace the whole brake system, right? Like, so you knew that it was consistently him being unhappy. It hasn't been happy for a long time, apparently. Now, part of this is he wished this upon himself by forcing the trade from Green Bay. If he was still in Green Bay, he would have transitioned right from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, who seems like a capable replacement at this point. But at the time, it was Derek Carr who was the quarterback. So, it's the final nail in the coffin was Sunday or Monday after the win on Sunday. But apparently, there was a conversation, at least one, probably multiple, after the.
Okay, so clearly, the friction between Pierce and then Adams. So when Antonio Pierce makes the comment a couple of weeks ago, hey, we got players making business decisions, he clearly is talking about Davante Adams.
Which is
and
funny
others.
Because Davante was asked about it and backed him up on it and said, oh, and I think he's absolutely right about that. And so at the time, the charade was continuing, basically.
Okay, so where does he end up? I mean, he comes out. This is reminiscent of people in Seattle, like when King Griffey Jr. wanted to be traded. They're like, oh, we're going to trade the greatest player in baseball. This is fun. And then you're like, well, you're going to open it up to all these teams. And everybody's going to be willing to want to get King Griffey Jr. in his prime. And then he's like, nope, I want to go to 2 teams. That's it. And you're like, and then it was like, I want to go to 1 team, and that was the Reds. So he wants to go to 2 teams for obvious reasons, the Saints and the Packers, or excuse me, the Saints and the Jets. The most likeliest destination for him is where?
Possibly the Jets. We got to see what happens this weekend. But I don't think that the Jets are being overly aggressive here, at least not early on. And so there's more than those 2 teams. Oh, crap. Sorry. There's more than those 2 teams for him.
You're good.
Sorry. There's more than those 2 teams for him. And they are not allowing him to do what Griffey did, what Aaron Rodgers did to the Packers. Now, that being said, he has some leverage here because his number next year is basically astronomical. It was never meant to be paid. It was a number that was tacked on the back end of the deal to make it look like he was getting paid more throughout the deal than he actually was. We've seen that with a few people, including Tyreke. So he's got a little bit of leverage to say, well, I'd be willing to rework my deal for this team, but not this team, this team. So there's going to be a little bit of a dance that's going to go on here, which could delay things a little bit. But I believe we're talking about, I think by this point next week, we may have ourselves a deal for him to land somewhere. And everybody involved knows that. It's not like rush to get it done before the weekend. I think it's going to play out. I think they all know it's going to play out after the weekend.
Is there a surprise team? Could there be a surprise team in there that's not the Saints or the Jets?
Somebody who pretends to know, not pretends, portends to know a little bit more than the average person said. Well, there's a team that nobody's talking about. And I was like, that's impossible. 31 other teams have been talked about, like every single one. Maybe to you, they're not talking about them as much because you're only seeing Saints and Jets. But somebody said that there's a team. This is the hint I got. There's a team with a quarterback that's got a connection to him, and I'm like going through everything. It's Jets or Saints that have the connection to him. So maybe it's somebody that he knows or is friendly with, but not necessarily somebody he played with. The Bills are in there, in the mix. The 49ers, doesn't sound like it. They were in the mix before. It would have to be trading Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams at this point. Like, that's the only way that deal gets done or makes sense, and cap implications and all that stuff. So, it's going to be interesting.
Would you do that if you were the 49ers? Would you trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams?
And I looked over. I tried to figure out the cap. I never got finished on that, but I don't think it's awful. Like, I think it could be done. Usually you do a deal and you can't trade a guy till at least year 2 or whatever. But it sounds like, because he's got an option bonus next year, so that may help with the cap. I think it is doable. I just don't know it's going to happen.
You mentioned that the Niners tried to acquire Adams when?
They called the Raiders about both Davante Adams and Jacoby Myers in the summer when they were at a stalemate with Aiyuk, trying to see if they could make a deal and get a receiver back. So that's when they talked to the Patriots, which Kendrick Bourne found out about it. The Cleveland Browns were going to include Amari Cooper in the deal. So that was one of the stops that they made along the way. And the Raiders were like, we can't. We've got a first-year head coach. We don't have a top flight quarterback. Like, we can't trade away one of our top receivers. We got to have something here, basically. They knew that they were not the most talented team coming into the season.
Yeah, I don't need to see the Niners with Davante Adams. I don't need to see that.
I think about that, and I go, man, too many chefs in the kitchen, right? Like, he's not happy with getting the ball now. He won't get the ball there in a different way, right? Like, got to get the ball to everybody else. So, whereas with the Jets, it's like, yeah, you're going to get the ball a ton there. Buffalo, my goodness, everything's going to run through you if you go to Buffalo. So, and there's just no way, by the way, I didn't mention the Chiefs because the owner will not sign off on trading him within the division. No way, no
how. Okay, speaking of the Chiefs, though, do you think is there a possibility of a reunion with Tyreke Hill and the Chiefs? There's been like these rumors coming out of Miami this week that maybe Hill wants out.
It's not that he wants out. It's that this season could really fall off the table here. And, he moved there for lifestyle reasons more so than just, it was one that the Chiefs weren't going to pay him, but also lifestyle reasons. So you're giving that back up now to go to Kansas City. I don't think I think it's less than 50. I don't know how far less than 50%, but I don't think it's completely out of the question. And then Kansas City's going to do something at some point, right? They're just not going to go forward with all these guys that are like, well, this guy could step up as our, number, like Justin Watson was being talked about last year as kind of our number 2, but nobody was really talked about as potentially emerging as a 1 other than Rashee Rice. So they're going to have to do something. I don't know if it's going to be closer to the deadline or maybe they're going to jump in the near future. There's no great rush. They're off to a great start.
Remind me, I'll look it up if you don't know. Remind me of the NFL trade deadline again.
Oh, it's election day. What's that, November 5th?
Where? Yeah, November 5th. Perfect. It's great.
Last year, was it on Halloween?
Like we don't.
It's like Halloween, election day. Like, can we just pick a random day with nothing going on, please?
I think. What's the guy? Is the Kornecki guy still working on NBC football? Is he gonna have to double dip that night? With the big board and all that?
Late in the season for playoff scenarios and whatnot. Speaking of which, talking about analytics and numbers and probabilities, the run probability or the win probability on the score bug that ESPN is doing for that. Can we, please? I don't need it. I don't need it all game long. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, you know what? You're a baseball fan. The simple, the better. Everybody needs to model their graphics after Apple. Do you watch Friday night games on Apple? Perfect.
Now that's interesting because it's not just win probability. It's like, with each pitch, which is fine. That's great. And I'm good with Apple doing it. It's like, all right, this is here for Friday night. I'm not getting it 7 days a week. But like the win probability, I get it. Like, and out, it went down. Oh, they got a base hit. It went up. Like, I know.
Where would Kansas? Okay, so if let's say Hill doesn't end up in Kansas City, they're not going to get Davante Adams. Where do they turn? Who would be available to them, and what would be a good fit? I don't know why this player just came to mind real quick. I'm asking you a question. Now I'm going to answer my own question like an idiot. He's not a superstar, but would Adam Thielen help them?
Adam Thielen's hurt right now.
Or is that?
But yeah, Adam Thielen.
Well, never mind. He's
Adam
not going
to
help
anybody. Like, that guy's ageless in some ways. And Deontay Johnson's another one from the Carolina. So Carolina may wind up trading one of those guys because he's on the last year of his deal. Which seemed like a weird fit from the beginning. Just really did. It didn't make sense to me. He's a volume guy, so he's got to go somewhere, which honestly he would make sense in Kansas City because that's the kind of volume type guy that you get the ball there. Whereas in Carolina, we're not going to catch 100 passes in Carolina, regardless of who the quarterback was. Yeah, he's a possibility. Amari Cooper, I'm still keeping an eye on that. Clearly wasn't happy in the summer when his name came up and was kind of, not unhappy, was kind of like, yeah, sure. Wouldn't mind it one bit, I think he posted on Instagram. So we'll see. Those are the names.
Von Miller, the suspended 4 games without pay for violating the league's personal conduct policy. Where are we at with that? I would assume something new came up here. This is stemming from last year, last spring?
Yeah, from my understanding, it's related to that situation, which I can't. What was the legal process on that? Were there no charges on that, or she wouldn't pursue, if I'm not mistaken? So the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think she pursued anything.
following the Ray Rice and the Adrian Peterson situation, was criticized for not doing enough. And at that point, they strengthened everything, both investigation-wise and their willingness to act, even if the legal departments involved do not act. So that's what we had in this case.
Yeah. The situation, do you love the drama, the whole Bills thing with Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs? I love this stuff. And I need more of it in my life. I love all the the things that people say and the unintended messages and all of it and the little digs, and everyone's like, oh, we didn't mean anything by it. Of course you meant something by it, or you wouldn't have said it. I love all the drama.
We had Josh Allen at the Super Bowl this year, and I sat with him and I asked him about Diggs, and Diggs had put something out or said something, and it was like, what? And he kind of just brushed it under the rug. I love Stefon Diggs and blah, blah, blah. Dude, yeah. And I love Josh. And this is part of the, what I talked about with Davante Adams. The hard part of our job is we can know something, but then we go with it. And then there's the pushback from players or coaches or whoever involved. And the fans are always going to side with them, not us, particularly in this day and age where the entire media corps is getting just right across the coals. So it's like my eyes can see what's going on here. I don't, so you're giving me the answer, and that's fine. You're trying to downplay and all that stuff. But, we knew that this was bubbling up way back then. And, it's, so they're playing this week. So that's interesting. That'll be fun. We'll see about the on-field greetings and all that stuff.
There's going to be something.
Something negative?
No, well, there's going to be something said like, social media wise, or just some weird dig. This is what they do. They
stuff out there, and you can't read into everything because he's constantly just bombarding us with these vague references to whatever.
I know. Yeah. The Seahawks and Giants coming up. I want to get to Seahawks injuries here in just a quick second, but let me start here first with the Giants. You're always connected with them. Malik Nabers did not practice again today. Concussion. So if he doesn't go Thursday, I know it could change tomorrow, but we're dealing with the concussion. The likelihood he plays on Sunday is pretty slim, right?
Very low. I base that on what I'm hearing, but also, Brian Dable said yesterday he's in the early stages of the concussion, so you got to progress through all these stages. So it does not look like Malik Nabers will be out there, which is going to change the entire Giants offense, and not in a good way.
Yeah, because he's it, man. It's the Malik Nabers show in New York. The volume that this guy is getting, no wonder he's hurt. He's like the only guy they have.
It's like, and it's not intentional, Daniel Jones. To a certain degree, he's willing to give him 50-50 balls and whatnot. But it's almost kind of like, you see, if you give me more of these, I'm going to be much better. And the team, not that they're making a statement for their job, but the general manager and the coach saying, see? We didn't force a quarterback. We knew this guy was a great football player, and it's almost like everybody's feeding him to kind of say, give us more time. We're still building things around here. We're going to get you more of this type of player.
Well, I think that they're right. I don't know what the belief around the league is, but you look at Daniel Jones and you can see why he was picked where he was picked. You see the athleticism and the play. And we've talked about this before, right? And actually, right before you came on, I was kind of mentioning this with Geno Smith. It's just so much about fit. Where do guys get drafted? Who's the head coach? Who's the offensive coordinator? What is the system like? And for Daniel Jones, really early in his career, he's just gone to a bad situation. Players aren't good around him. The coaching hasn't been good around him. The offensive coordinator has changed.
At some point, we gotta. Here's my test. I always put myself in the Super Bowl stadium. Well, they don't do the media night on there anymore. The opening night used to be in the stadium, and you'd look up, and they'd have the two quarterbacks in this big banner on the one side of the stadium. And you go, can you ever see Daniel Jones on that thing up there? If you can't, what are you doing?
No.
You're just wasting, not buying time. You're wasting time.
No.
Is he ever going to be a Super Bowl quarterback?
He kind of looks like a goober.
I'm not going to do that.
It's my words, not yours. I'm just saying my words. He just kind of looks like a goober.
Yeah, but Eli looked like a goober. When the lights came on and it was crunch time, Eli showed you. Like there were
Yeah.
examples. And Daniel Jones did it his first game. His first game, I was like, oh, okay, there it is, right? That's why they drafted him.
No.
He's Eli Part 2. You don't think he has a pulse until everything's on the line. I haven't really seen a lot of that. And it's like, you got to start showing that, regardless of what's happening around. John Mara can say, oh, we've done everything to screw him up. We changed the offense coordinator, the coach, and everything. Okay, great. But at some point, I need to see it. Like Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl against the Buccaneers was running for his life and still making plays. It's like, you're going to have to see that eventually.
Can you look up and okay, I'm going to throw that back at you. Can you look up at the Super Bowl media day? Look up. Could you see Geno Smith up there?
That's the other guy I kind of mentioned along the way. It's like, will he ever be that guy? And he's closer than Daniel Jones, like in my mind. Like he is closer. And I thought he played well the other night. And he looked like he could be the kind of guy, because you need a guy to eventually throw for 400 yards for you. You need him to throw 45 passes in a game. Like if he can't do that, he doesn't belong in this league, frankly. But if he can't do that, like Justin Fields not doing that for the Steelers, right? So, but if you're the Seahawks, he's playing well enough to get you into the playoffs. Daniel Jones hasn't done that for the Giants. That makes that a lot easier for me. I mean, he did it the first year, but that was like they were paring everything down and telling him, like, read only this half of the field, like trying to really establish a base for him and then to work up from there. The problem is the base was great. The workup never really happened.
What about what's the update? Do we expect to see Leonard Williams was limited yesterday in practice?
He's going to try.
Yeah, you admit
he's
going to try and make it.
Try to get him going this week, from what I understand. So we'll see. He's going to have to progress throughout the week.
Byron Murphy.
I don't believe. Well, he didn't practice yesterday. So was it a walkthrough yesterday?
No.
The Monday game. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think he's back this week. When do they play San Francisco? Next week?
Yeah.
I think he's back for the Niners game.
Well, that'd be good. They're going to need him against the Niners. How much more money is Brock Purdy making himself by the way he's playing with all these guys out?
I'll tell you somebody. His agent sent us a they do this. I don't know if it's weekly or periodically. Like, here are all our clients and here are everything. And he sent us. I would open it, but I'm going to lose you if I do that. He sent us the Purdy breakdown. It was like number 1 in franchise history. Number 1 in franchise history. I was like, what? Do you know who's played quarterback for them? You know, right? You remember? Number 1. I was like, what? Now he's playing in a different era. I get that. I get it all. But like completion percentage this year it's like 69% or something. Like number 1 in franchise history. It's a pretty good thing to bring to the negotiating table.
I doubted him. I mean, we talked about it, when you earlier this year when we're throwing out numbers, and I'm like, come on, man, he can't be the next guy that makes $60 million a year. But
and that was Kyle Strongen from Range Sports that represents Brock Purdy. Give him a shout out for doing his job, because he sent us the material and it made its way on the air. That's how it works.
It's great, though. But if I was an agent, I would be doing that all the time, because you get people to talk about it, then it gets out there in the ether, then you're like, and then all of a sudden it's picked up by all the morning shows.
Send it to us, like I've seen these guys bring it to the combine, and they go, "Oh, we're going to bring this packet," to the teams are going to go, okay. But they got their own evaluations. They don't need it. They can see it with what they're seeing on tape, and they also have their analytics breakdowns for themselves. But you give it to me, I need that.
Yeah.
We'll use it.
Here's our we'll do this every week. Here's our Jim Moore question of the week. Will Atlanta win by more than 3 tonight?
Tampa's banged up tonight. I like Tampa a lot. I love Todd Bowles. Todd's my guy. So, not that I'm rooting for him, but, I always want to see him do well. But it always seems like they're just dealing with injuries upon injuries. It's unbelievable. And Vita Vea is always hurt or coming back from something, which he played the other day, and he makes a huge difference. This Falcons team seems like it is picking up confidence, because they were completely lost when I covered them week 1 on both sides of the ball, and now they look like a completely different team to me. So I'd probably side with Atlanta. Tampa just too banged up for me tonight.
How about Tom Brady's little dig at Baker Mayfield last week?
Baker started it, right?
I enjoyed. Yeah, but I enjoyed that very much. It was so depressing around here when he was here, and Brady's like, well, I guess Depressing is winning Super Bowls and being good.
That's the Lane Johnson talking about the Patriots. Well, they don't have any fun up there. And then they went and won the Super Bowl, and they were clapping back at him, saying, boy, this is pretty fun. I mean, but by the same token,
winning is fun.
By the same token, Belichick wore out Brady. Brady wore out a bunch of people. Like,
sure.
Winning has a price. Winning, and also, his clapback was, well, if I wanted to have fun, I would have just gone with my kids to Disneyland. And I did see one comment somewhere that goes, "Here's a man explaining to me why he got divorced." But that was her complaint late in his time in New England, and he took off OTAs,
of course,
which was him making a sacrifice. Stupid thumbs up again.
I love the thumbs up.
Just my hands. We need this one. When are we going to get this one?
Yeah, we need it.
So, anyway. Good clapback, though.
Last thing for you. If they are able to beat the Brewers today, do we get, like, what's the bet? What's the bet between you and Rappaport? Phillies, Mets, divisional series. What do we got? What do we got on the line?
Phillies, Yankees, and had to deal with, my best friend and I was like, I'm not talking to you until the series is over. And then the Yankees.
Now we get.
What's that?
Yeah, what's that? Now you get rap sheet every day. You got to deal with them.
Yeah, I can't avoid them. And we've got Judy Batista's a Mets fan. Michael F. Florio, our fantasy expert, is a Mets fan. Colleen Wolf is a Phillies fan. Cameron Wolf, both Seawolves at our place, Phillies fans. It's a good question. We're going to have to come up with something. I don't know. It might involve some kind of like, you have to give me your next best scoop, something like that, right?
Yeah, there you go. I enjoy public humiliation.
See, but
so
the next
that
best scoop, I didn't have to say, this is actually Ian's reporting. This is what he owed me because the Phillies won. Thanks, Phils. Something like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's not bad.
Okay,
we're
going to discuss this later today. Good job, Puck.
That's good. Yeah, I like it. All right, well, have fun. Hopefully the car is up and running soon.
They actually texted me. I don't know if you saw me. I got disconnected for a second. They called and texted me to let me know that it's ready. So I'm going to walk over there now.
Hey, you know what's underrated? Is car dealership coffee.
Just had 2 cups while I was on with you, dude.
Sometimes it can be real. I like car dealership
if I had
coffee.
To drink this every day. What is this swill? But when I'm here, for some reason, it's really good.
It's not bad though, because here's the thing I love about car dealership coffee is exactly the cup it comes in, old school styrofoam. I'm a firm believer in 2024. Styrofoam needs to come back.
Dealership that I'm at now.
But they still use styrofoam. That's the best part.
I do remember the one I went to with the pot that was sitting there for like 4 hours and just like dirty when it came out. Still drank it though, didn't I?
God, I love it. Yes, you did. All right, Mike. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate it.